Welcome back to Too Lazy to Read.
Always good to be back.
Today, we're going to do a deep dive into the world of, well, Elon Musk.
Yes.
Through the lens of Walter Isaacson's brand new biography just came out, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And Isaacson, he's the guy behind those incredible bios of like Steve Jobs.
Right.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Big names.
So we know we're in for like a really detailed, insightful, look at this complicated guy.
I think that's a good word for him, yeah. Complicated.
And Elon's story, trust me, it's anything but your typical like tech genius origin story,
Right.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah. Forget Silicon Valley, forget those garages that we always hear about.
Yeah.
Elon's journey starts in Pretoria, South Africa.
Okay.
And his childhood experiences, I think, really laid the groundwork for the driven, relentless personality, that we see today.
Right.
Isaacson talks about these brutal survival camps.
Oh, wow.
Called Veld School that Elon attended as a kid.
Veld.
Yeah, Veld School. They were incredibly tough.
Yeah.
They were designed to just push kids to their absolute limits.
Okay, so Veld School, that sounds intense.
It was intense.
Yeah.
Imagine being sent to a place where, like, every few years, one of the kids actually died. It was that kind of intense environment.
Oh, wow.
And I think you can see how those early experiences where resilience was key, it might have shaped Elon's, quote, hardcore approach to leadership
Right.
at his companies later on. It's like those survival camps, they instilled this push through any obstacle mentality that's just stayed with him.
Yeah, that's a really interesting connection. So it wasn't just about ambition, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this like deep-seated resilience that had been ingrained in him.
Right, exactly. And it wasn't just the environment either. It seems to run in the family. His grandfather, Joshua Haldeman, was this adventurous risk taker.
Oh, wow.
He traveled across Canada. He broke in horses. He was always pushing boundaries. That adventurous spirit, I think, it's definitely in the genes.
It's like that drive to push limits, to go beyond like what's considered conventional.
Yes.
It was almost like woven into his DNA.
Precisely. And that drive manifests itself in every single one of his ventures.
Speaking of ventures,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy has his hands in so many like groundbreaking companies.
So many.
Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with his first major foray into the tech world.
Okay.
Zip2.
Zip2.
Back in the early days of the internet.
Right.
Long before Google Maps or Yelp or anything like that.
Right.
Elon and his brother Kimball, they started this company that basically created a virtual city navigator for businesses.
Okay.
Think of it as like an online directory with maps.
Right.
But back in the 1990s,
Wow.
this was cutting edge stuff.
Yeah. Digital yellow pages before anybody knew what that even meant. And what was Elon like in those really early days?
Driven.
Yeah.
Relentless. Even back then,
Right.
Isaacson mentions how Elon would literally sleep under his desk to make sure Zip2 launched on time.
Oh, wow.
It was that level of dedication, that willingness to push himself to the absolute limit
Right.
that really set the tone for his future endeavors.
It's almost hard to imagine the kind of pressure he must have been under.
Oh, yeah.
But it clearly paid off.
It did. And that experience also foreshadowed a pattern that would repeat throughout his career.
Okay.
Taking huge risks.
Yeah.
And often pushing himself really to the point of exhaustion to achieve his goals.
And then comes PayPal, right?
That's right.
A company that like revolutionized online payments.
Absolutely. But again, not a smooth ride. Elon's company, X.com,
Right.
merged with another company called Confinity.
Okay.
And things got pretty chaotic. There were clashes of personalities, different visions for the company, and ultimately Elon ended up being ousted as CEO.
Wait, he got fired from the company that he co-founded.
He did during a particularly stressful time.
That's wild.
Yeah, but it was a pivotal moment, I think.
Yeah.
And it highlights, a key aspect of Elon's personality.
Right.
His unwavering belief in his own vision.
Right.
Even when faced with pushback, setbacks, he doesn't easily back down.
And all of this is happening while he's battling malaria.
Yeah.
Isaacson mentions that he almost died
Right.
during this whole PayPal saga.
That's right. The man was working himself to the bone, dealing with this high-stakes merger,
Yeah.
battling a life-threatening illness all at the same time.
It's crazy.
It speaks to his incredible resilience, but also to a certain recklessness,
Right.
a willingness to push himself beyond any reasonable limit.
It's like he thrives on chaos,
Yeah.
on pushing himself to the brink.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But that brings us to, I think, what many consider his most ambitious venture,
Right.
SpaceX.
This is where things get really interesting. Elon had this grand vision of making humanity a multiplanetary species, and he was convinced that reusable rockets were the key.
Right.
So he poured his entire fortune into creating SpaceX,
Wow.
a company that could build and launch rockets more efficiently and affordably than anyone had done before.
Hold on. He literally bet everything on this space dream.
He did, and those early days were incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
SpaceX faced a string of failed launches,
Oh, man.
and there was a lot of skepticism from the established aerospace industry.
Of course.
Imagine that pressure. He had poured his heart and soul into this venture, and it seemed like it was all going to crumble. It was devastating.
I remember reading about those early Falcon 1 launches.
Right.
They had 3 failures in a row.
3 in a row. It was tough.
That must have been devastating.
It was, but Elon, he refused to give up.
Wow.
He doubled down on his commitment, learned from each failure,
Right.
kept pushing his team to innovate. There's this great anecdote about Kwajalein Island where they were launching the rockets. One of the launches goes wrong. Everyone's saying, bring the rocket back to headquarters. We'll fix it there.
Yeah.
But Elon, he insists on fixing it right there on the island. He even slept under the rocket, determined to solve the problem firsthand.
That's incredible. It shows a level of dedication that's almost hard to fathom.
It really is.
But didn't he almost go bankrupt alongside SpaceX?
He did. He was down to his last few $1 million. And another failed launch, it would have meant the end of SpaceX.
Oh, wow.
But then, on the 4th attempt, the Falcon 1 successfully reached orbit.
Talk about a turning point.
It was a turning point. That single launch not only saved SpaceX, it also landed them a major contract with NASA.
Wow.
Proving that Elon's vision of private space exploration, it was viable.
Right.
It was a testament to his, unwavering belief in his own abilities.
Yeah.
And his willingness to take risks that most people would never even consider.
So he conquers the internet.
Yep.
He takes on, the aerospace giants.
Takes them on.
And then electric cars.
You got it. Tesla. But his entry into the electric car market wasn't exactly conventional. He didn't just want to build another electric car company.
Right.
He wanted to, disrupt the entire auto industry.
Right.
Instead of starting from scratch, he invested in this small startup called Tesla Motors,
Right.
which was already working on a high-performance electric sports car.
So he saw potential in Tesla.
Right.
And decided to kind of jump on board.
Exactly. He saw an opportunity to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, and he wasn't afraid to, challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
He quickly became very involved in the company, pushing for a bolder, more ambitious vision.
And that eventually led to him becoming CEO, right?
Yes, but not without some friction.
Okay.
He clashed with one of Tesla's co-founders, Martin Eberhard,
Okay.
over the direction of the company. Elon was all about pushing the boundaries of technology and design, while Eberhard was more focused on practicality and affordability.
So classic Elon, going for the big ambitious vision, even if it means ruffling some feathers along the way.
Precisely. And those early days at Tesla, they were incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
They faced production delays, financial constraints, skepticism, again, from the established auto industry.
Yeah.
Remember, this was before electric cars were considered mainstream.
Right.
It was a different time.
I remember reading about the production hell they went through with the Roadster, their first car.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like the company was constantly on the verge of collapse.
It was a nail-biting time, for sure.
Yeah.
Elon was pouring his own money into the company, sleeping on the factory floor.
Oh, wow.
Pushing his team to their absolute limits. It's that hardcore mentality again. That unwavering determination to succeed against all odds.
And it eventually paid off, right?
It did.
The Roadster became, a huge success, proving that electric cars could be both high performance and desirable.
It was a game changer. It challenged the perception that electric cars had to be, slow and boring.
Right.
And from there, Tesla went on to develop the Model S,
Right.
a luxury sedan that further solidified their position as a leader in the electric vehicle market.
And that's when things really started to take off for Tesla, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The Model S was a critical and commercial success.
Yeah.
And it helped to really mainstream the idea of electric cars.
Right.
And Elon, never one to rest on his laurels.
Right.
He was already thinking bigger. He had this vision of creating a massive battery factory, the Gigafactory.
The Gigafactory.
To meet the growing demand for electric vehicles.
The Gigafactory. That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It was a bold move.
Yeah.
It faced its share of challenges, but Elon was determined to make it happen.
Right.
He saw it as a crucial step in his mission to, transition the world to sustainable energy. Right. And he's not just focused on cars and rockets.
Right.
He's also deeply involved in Solar City.
Oh, yeah, the solar energy company.
Right.
Didn't he start that with his cousins?
He did.
Right.
It was a family affair, and it stemmed from, Elon's conviction that solar energy was a critical part of a sustainable future.
Right.
He envisioned these aesthetically pleasing solar roofs that would seamlessly integrate into homes.
Right.
A far cry from the bulky, unattractive solar panels of the past.
So even with Solar City, he's pushing the boundaries of design and technology.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to make renewable energy more appealing to the masses.
Exactly. He sees the bigger picture, the interconnectedness of energy, transportation, sustainability.
Right.
And speaking of seeing the big picture, we can't forget about the Boring Company.
Wait, the Boring Company?
Yeah.
Is that the one where he's digging tunnels?
That's the one. It might seem like a random side project, but it actually ties into his vision for solving traffic congestion in urban areas.
Okay.
He got so frustrated with traffic in LA that he decided to create a company dedicated to developing innovative tunneling technologies.
This is the guy who's sending people to space, and he's annoyed by traffic jams.
It might sound strange,
yeah,
but it speaks to his problem-solving mindset. He sees a problem, and he immediately starts thinking about how to fix it, even if it seems completely outlandish to everyone else.
So instead of just, complaining about traffic, he decides to dig tunnels under the city.
Pretty much.
Classic Elon.
Yeah.
And just when you think he's done, he drops another bombshell. Neuralink.
Oh, yeah, Neuralink.
That's the brain-computer interface company, right?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Elon's been fascinated with artificial intelligence and its potential impact on humanity for years. But with Neuralink, he's not just theorizing.
Right.
He's actively working on developing technology that can connect our brains directly to computers.
Okay, now that's getting into some serious sci-fi territory.
It is.
What exactly is he trying to achieve with Neuralink?
It's complex, but in essence, he's trying to create a symbiotic relationship between humans and AI.
Okay.
He believes that by merging our minds with technology, we can enhance our cognitive abilities, overcome physical limitations,
Wow.
and even potentially merge with AI in the future.
Whoa, that's a lot to unpack.
It is.
So we're talking about mind-controlled prosthetics, treating neurological disorders.
Yeah.
Maybe even downloading our consciousness into computers.
That's the long-term vision, though it's still very much in the realm of speculation.
Right.
But even in the near term, Neuralink has the potential to revolutionize how we interact with technology and how we treat brain-related conditions.
It's mind-boggling, to say the least.
Yeah.
But out of all of Elon's ventures, the one that's probably generated the most headlines and the most controversy has to be Twitter.
Oh, Twitter. Yeah, that's a whole saga in itself.
Yeah.
It actually goes back further than you might think.
Okay.
Elon's been fascinated by the power of online communication for years, even back to his days with X.com. He saw Twitter as this digital town square,
right,
a platform for free speech and open dialogue.
But it was more than just an interest in social media, wasn't it?
Right.
There was something else there.
Elon became increasingly concerned with what he perceived as a growing bias against certain viewpoints on Twitter.
Okay.
Particularly conservative viewpoints. He felt like the platform was becoming too restrictive.
Okay.
Too quick to censor or silence dissenting voices.
So that's what ultimately led to him buying Twitter, right?
Yeah.
To try to reshape it into a platform that aligned with his vision of free speech.
That was a major factor.
Yeah.
But, it's important to understand the chaotic, almost impulsive nature of how it all unfolded.
Yep.
He started buying Twitter shares quietly.
Right.
Then suddenly he launched this public bid to take the company private.
And that whole process was a roller coaster ride, to say the least. There were clashes with Twitter executives, lawsuits, and just endless speculation about his motives.
It was a wild ride, and once he took over, things got even crazier.
He fired a lot of people, right?
He did.
And made some pretty drastic changes to the platform.
He did. Elon came in with that hardcore mentality,
Right.
expecting people to work at his level of intensity, move fast and break things.
Yeah.
Remember the story about moving the servers from Sacramento to Portland in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Against the advice of, everyone around him?
It's like he thrives on this constant upheaval, this sense of disruption.
It's hard to argue otherwise. And while he's made some positive changes, like improving transparency, allowing for longer posts,
Right.
the Twitter takeover has also been incredibly divisive.
Yeah, there's been a lot of pushback, particularly from those who are concerned about the potential for, increased misinformation and hate speech.
Yeah, it's been a bumpy road, for sure. And, the jury's still out on whether Elon's vision for Twitter will ultimately succeed.
Yeah.
But it's a prime example of, again, his willingness to take on these seemingly impossible challenges.
Right.
To shake things up, push for change, even if it means alienating people along the way.
So we've covered the ventures from internet startups to space exploration to brain-computer interfaces.
There's a lot going on.
But what about the man behind all of this innovation?
Right.
What does Isaacson tell us about Elon's personal life, his relationships, the things that kind of make him tick?
Well, you can't understand Elon without understanding his relationships, I think.
Right.
They're intense, they're complicated, and they often reflect the same, drive, ambition, restlessness that we see in his professional life.
Let's start with his first marriage to Justine Musk.
Right.
They were together for 8 years,
Right.
had 6 children together, and went through some incredibly challenging times, including the tragic loss of their first child.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Isaacson paints a picture of a relationship that was, passionate at times,
Yeah.
but also fraught with tension.
Okay.
Justine describes feeling like she was constantly trying to keep up with Elon's relentless pace, his single-minded focus on his work.
It sounds like their relationship was almost a microcosm of Elon's larger approach to life. Intense, demanding, and always pushing forward.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And while there were undoubtedly moments of love and connection,
Sure.
the pressure of Elon's ambition, eventually it took its toll. They divorced in 2008. And it seems like that pattern of intense, often tumultuous relationships has continued throughout his life.
What about his second wife, Tallulah Riley?
Yeah.
They had a very on-again, off-again relationship, didn't they?
They did. They married in 2010, divorced in 2012,
Wow.
remarried in 2013, and then divorced again in 2016.
Oh, wow.
It was a whirlwind romance filled with, grand gestures, extravagant displays of affection,
Right.
but ultimately unable to withstand the pressures of, again, Elon's demanding lifestyle.
It's like he's constantly searching for a connection that can match his own intensity,
Yeah,
but struggling to find someone who can truly keep up with him.
that's a good observation.
Yeah.
And then there's Grimes,
That's right.
the musician.
Grimes, yeah.
Their relationship, I think, really captured the public's imagination, probably because it was so unexpected.
They met online, right?
They did.
Through a shared interest in artificial intelligence and memes.
That's the story.
Yeah.
It was a very Elon way to meet someone.
Yeah.
And, while they seemed to genuinely connect, I think, on an intellectual level,
Right.
even that relationship eventually fizzled out.
It seems like even with partners who share his interests and embrace his eccentricities,
Yeah.
there's still this fundamental challenge of balancing his personal life with his all-consuming ambition.
Yeah. That's a recurring theme in Isaacson's biography, for sure.
Right.
And it's not just romantic relationships that are affected. His relationship with his brother Kimball,
Right.
who was once a close confidant and business partner,
Right.
has also been strained by, Elon's demanding nature
Yeah.
and his controversial actions.
It's like his drive to achieve his goals,
Yeah.
to push the boundaries of what's possible, can sometimes come at the expense of his personal connections.
That's a key takeaway from Isaacson's biography, I think.
Yeah.
Elon's ambition, it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
It's the driving force behind his incredible achievements.
Right.
But it also creates this wake of turbulence in his personal life.
So what's the verdict? How does Isaacson ultimately assess this complex, contradictory figure?
Right.
Does he see Elon as, a hero, a villain, or something in between?
That's the question Isaacson leaves us wrestling with, I think.
Yeah.
he doesn't offer easy answers, and I think that's intentional.
Right. He wants us to grapple with the duality of Elon Musk,
Yeah.
to recognize both his brilliance and his flaws.
It's like there are two sides to Elon, right?
Right.
The visionary innovator who inspires awe, and then like the relentless, sometimes ruthless leader who leaves people wondering, do the ends justify the means?
Precisely. And Isaacson's biography doesn't shy away from either side.
Right.
He shows us Elon's incredible capacity for innovation,
Right.
his unwavering belief in the power of technology to solve, humanity's biggest challenges.
Yeah.
But he also reveals his darker side,
Right.
his tendency to push people too hard, his sometimes callous disregard for the human cost of his ambition.
It's a fascinating portrait of a man who's both incredibly inspiring and deeply flawed.
Yeah.
And it leaves us with a lot to think about.
It does, because ultimately Isaacson isn't just telling us the story of Elon Musk.
Right.
He's asking us to consider what it means to be human, in an age of accelerating technological change. That's a big question.
What are the limits of ambition?
Right.
What are the trade-offs between progress and empathy?
Right.
These are questions that I think we all need to grapple with,
Right.
whether we're, aspiring entrepreneurs, tech enthusiasts, or simply trying to make sense of the world around us.
So after diving deep into Isaacson's biography, what stands out to you about Elon Musk? For me, it's his sheer audacity,
Yeah.
his willingness to dream big and then actually go after those dreams,
Yes.
no matter how crazy they might seem.
He's not afraid to challenge conventional thinking,
Yeah.
to take risks that others wouldn't even contemplate.
Right.
And while his methods might be unconventional and sometimes even controversial,
Yeah.
there's no denying the impact he's had on the world.
He's pushed the boundaries of technology, inspired countless people to think bigger, and forced us to confront, some of the most pressing challenges facing humanity.
Right.
Whether you admire him or are frustrated by him, you can't deny that Elon Musk is a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes his story so compelling.
Yeah.
It's a story about human potential.
Yeah.
About the power of ideas.
Right.
And about the complexities of navigating a world that's constantly being reshaped by technology.
And it's a story that's still unfolding.
Absolutely.
What will happen with Twitter?
Right.
Will Starship ever reach Mars? Can Neuralink really help paralyzed people walk?
Right.
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure.
With that.
Elon Musk will continue to be a figure we talk about, debate about, and try to understand for years to come.
I couldn't have said it better myself. He's a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma.
Yeah.
But one that's worth trying to solve.
Yeah, it's like he's this walking paradox,
Yeah.
this whirlwind of innovation and disruption.
Yeah.
And it leaves us wondering, like, what his ultimate legacy will be. That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
That Isaacson leaves us pondering.
Yeah. Will Elon Musk be remembered as a visionary, who propelled humanity forward, the man who took us to Mars, revolutionized transportation, unlocked the potential of the human brain? Or will he be seen as this reckless figure consumed by his own ambition, someone who left a trail of, broken relationships and unfulfilled promises in his wake?
It's a tough one to answer.
It is.
There's no denying his impact, right?
Right.
I mean, he's achieved things that most people wouldn't even dare to dream of.
Right.
But at what cost? And Isaacson doesn't shy away from exploring that tension.
No, he doesn't.
The potential downsides of such like relentless ambition.
Exactly, and I think that's what makes this biography so valuable. It's not just a celebration of Elon's successes.
Right.
It's a nuanced examination of the complexities of ambition.
Yeah.
The trade-offs between progress and empathy.
Right.
Between pushing boundaries and respecting limits.
It's like he embodies this fundamental human struggle.
Right. Yeah.
The desire to achieve greatness.
Yeah.
While also grappling with our own imperfections.
And what's particularly interesting, I think, is that Isaacson doesn't present Elon as some kind of, superhuman genius.
Right.
Instead, he portrays him as someone who's constantly learning, adapting, evolving.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to admit his mistakes or to change course when necessary.
That's a refreshing perspective.
It is.
It reminds us that even the most accomplished individuals are still human.
Right.
They're still figuring things out, making mistakes, trying to find their way in a world that's constantly changing.
And that's a valuable lesson for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
Regardless of our aspirations or ambitions,
Yeah.
we're all on a journey of growth and discovery. And, it's okay to stumble along the way.
What struck me most about Isaacson's portrayal of Elon is his unwavering optimism.
Yeah.
Despite all the challenges and setbacks he's faced.
Yeah.
He still believes in the power of technology to solve humanity's biggest problems.
Absolutely.
He still believes that we can create a better future.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
Especially in times that can feel so uncertain and challenging.
Right.
It's a reminder that we need to hold on to hope.
Yeah.
To believe in our ability to shape a better future, even in the face of, daunting obstacles.
So what does this all mean for us as we navigate our own lives and careers? What can we learn from Elon's story, both his triumphs and his failures?
I think the key takeaway is that it's okay to be ambitious, to dream big, and to pursue those dreams relentlessly. But it's equally important to cultivate empathy, to consider the impact of our actions on others, and to strive for balance in our lives.
It's about finding that sweet spot between, like, pushing boundaries and respecting limits. Between pursuing our own goals and fostering meaningful connections with others.
Exactly. And ultimately, I think that's the legacy Elon will leave behind. He'll be remembered not just for his technological innovations, but also for the questions he's raised about the nature of ambition, the role of technology in our lives, and the challenges of being human in an increasingly complex world.
And that's what makes this deep dive into Walter Isaacson's Elon Musk so thought-provoking.
It is.
It's not just a biography. It's a reflection on the human condition.
Yeah.
On our capacity for both greatness and fallibility.
Absolutely.
It encourages us to examine our own ambitions,
right,
our own values, and our own place in the grand scheme of things.
It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
Whether it's through, groundbreaking innovations or simply by striving to be a little bit better each day.
Well said.
Thanks.
That wraps up our deep dive into the fascinating and complex world of Elon Musk.
It was a journey.
It really was. We hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
As always, make sure to follow Too Lazy to Read.
Yes, do that.
For more explorations into the lives and ideas that are shaping our world.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See you then.